Here we are with a great question, and it's a very simple one to answer, something you might do regularly, particularly when you're editing audio to video and using Adobe Premiere Pro. And that is, how do I create fades in Adobe Premiere Pro? Say I want to fade something in or out, or more importantly, I want to do little fades or ducking of music beds throughout something that I'm working on. So I have hopped into Premiere Pro and I got a little bit of my drone footage here, just as some stock video to just kind of like play away as I do the fades. Okay, so those are on the video tracks in Premiere, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over into the Essential Sound panel over here, which will allow me to import Adobe stock music, which you can license for use in your creations. So I'll just bring in the first track here. It really doesn't matter, you know, what I select, and I'll play a low quality version of the audio that straight away is played even before I license. Okay, there you go, music bubbling away with the waves crashing, and eventually my drone footage is going to zoom on down and it's going to find a lovely turtle in the water. But say at this point I wanted to fade out, and let's make that audio track big by just dragging down. I can do it in a number of ways. Now, probably the easiest way is to first of all use the razor tool here at the point that I want to fade it out. And we'll move this out the way for the moment. And then I would go into my effects and I'd search for an effect called constant power, okay? You can see that just above my head, hopefully just above my head, the constant power effect. And you drag and drop it to the end if you're fading out, or the beginning if you're fading in. What constant power will do is fade out. Let's play. There you go. Very sharp, quick fade. If I want to make it a longer fade, just drag out that effect a bit more. Play back. And we get a bit of a smoother fade. So you can make it really quick, really short, just whatever your desire is. And then obviously we've got this coming straight back in, but I want to fade that in. Again, constant power is the quickest way to get these fades. So again, this will now fade in. See, that was a nice smooth fade in. We can make it a longer fade in. See, just whatever your desire is. Now, if you want to get a little more granular, then you want to use the pen tool. It's this one over here, or the shortcut on your keyboard is P. Turns your cursor into a pen, then zoom right in, get detailed. We're working with this line here. This is the volume line. And now I can click on, put a keyframe here, and I can do a fade. There's a fade, so fade in. And of course, I can make that fade as granular as I like now, so I can move this along and I can make it a sort of long, slow fade in like that. And that's a nice long, slow fade in. And then say it gets loud here. When the bass kicks in, I can then just put a couple of keyframes there and I can fade the music down, ready for a voiceover. See how it fades down a little bit? Now this will work even better if I go ahead and record a voiceover in. So let's do that on this track just here. 3, 2, 1. This is a view of the epic ocean near a town in Australia, and there's a turtle. Now I'm not going to win any awards there for narration, but it gives you an idea of what is possible. Let's hit the G key, gain, normalize, so we'll make it nice and loud. We'll move that in, place it there. This is a quick and dirty way to really get vocals to work on top of music. This is a view of the epic ocean. Now, as you can hear, like it's only coming out of one side. It's only coming out of the left-hand side. That's something I need to adjust on my audio interface. This is a view. Okay, that's quite a sharp fade, but you get the idea. And of course, if I want to, I can go back to the P tool, again, pen, and I can fade up and fade down in between my speech. And then at the end of the speech, fade it up. So very clear way of doing that. And one last thing in this tutorial, you've learned about constant power. You've learned about the pen tool. But what if you have, say, 2 tracks? So you have one stock music track, and then you've got another one here. I quite like this one, and I'd like to go from my old track into my new track. I kind of like to do a crossfade. Okay, so let's put those tracks, let's budge them up together. Well, you can just drag and drop constant power over both of them. Look at that, and that will actually do a crossfade that you can then design to your own requirements, and hopefully you'd line up the beats and do everything accurately, but you get the idea of what is possible. It's very, very easy to go ahead and make fade ins, fade outs, use the pen tool, and do crossfades as well in Adobe Premiere Pro.
Thumbs up, subscribe for more. MusicRadioCreative.com